Hello guys, welcome to an episode of Bed Wars. I know it's been a really long time since I've uploaded. I was pretty busy with school, and I also was just playing some other games and stuff. But I'm back with another Catmonk tutorial. This one's going to be about how to win your first rush more. First rush kind of makes or breaks your Bed Wars games, so hopefully you guys can all learn something from this. Alright, so for the first tip, learn how to speed bridge. It doesn't have to be the fastest speed bridge anyone's ever seen, but it needs to be consistent enough to get into your first rush 8 times out of 10. Along with this, whenever you're speed bridging to your first rush, make sure you stop about halfway, look and see what your opponent is doing. For example, if they're towering up, if they're putting endstone on their bed, things like that, that'll help you plan your attack. The other thing with this is do not bridge flat to your first rush. Always try to get elevation so that it's harder for them to retaliate if you do fail your first rush. Alright, tip number 2, commit to either a fast or a slow first rush method. This is mostly dependent on what map you're playing. In general, the faster you can play, the better. But you either need to be going with 12 or 18 iron, just buying wool and going, or you need to be stacking up with like chainmail armor and stone pickaxe, that sort of thing. I think probably the worst thing you can do in this instance is to sit there and build a massive bed defense but not really get items, or vice versa, because that just puts you at a huge disadvantage time-wise. Tip number 3. If you're trading with your first rush, if neither of you is getting more hits than the other one, you're kind of just going back and forth, knocking each other off, don't be afraid to buy items to help win your first rush. Things like fireballs, chainmail armor, anything that can give you an advantage to stop the trading and get your opponent's bed. Tip number 4. If you get to your opponent's base and they're down your bed, at their bed, and you're kind of up above, don't stall for too long. It's definitely good to wait for an opportunity where they're near the edge where you can get a good combo started on them, things like that. But if you're just stalling up on their base for the first 2 minutes of the game, everyone else is going to get their first rush. Your first rush is going to get stacked with items, so you're not going to be able to beat them. And overall, you're just going to be behind in the game. So if you can't get it, just try, give it your best effort, get some more items, try again. Stalling will definitely screw you over. Alright, tip number 5. Be smart about how you take fights. In an ideal world, you should only have to fight your first rush once. Either you knock them away from their bed, break it, kill them, or you knock them into the void and break their bed while they're falling. So try to make that happen as much as possible. Another thing with this, if you can't kill your first rush twice, like if you're low after the first fight, you break their bed, try to steal their gen. A lot of people don't do this, and it's actually really, really helpful, so that they can't buy items and you can buy items faster. Alright, tip number 6, learn how to block in. This one definitely takes a little more time to learn and learn well, when to do it, when not to. But it definitely can be really helpful, especially if your first rush is building a really big bed defense. Being able to block in and get that bed easily definitely can win you a lot of first rushes that otherwise you might not. Alright, tip number 7 is don't be afraid to use diamonds even during your first rush. If your path to your first rush goes through Diamond Island and you can see your opponent isn't even out of their base yet and you get there and there's 2 diamonds, sometimes it's a good idea to take those diamonds, run back and get prot, because that can definitely help beat your first rush faster and then also be able to take more fights later game. Alright, tip number 8 is learn how to PvP at least a little bit. I know this seems obvious, but if you can't do this, you're not going to be beating your first rush. You don't need to be an absolute god at PvP, but you do need to be able to take a 1v1 and come out of that. And like I said earlier, if you're smart, you only have to fight first rush once. So as long as you can come out of that, even if it's only with 1 heart, then that's good enough. Alright, tip number 9 is be aware of maps where double rushing is common. These are maps like Amazon and Slumber, maps where the rush through diamonds and the side rush are almost at the same distance, and some people go one way, some people go another. Sometimes this will benefit you and your first rush will go the wrong way and you'll get a free bed, but other times 2 people will rush you and that's not good. So on these maps, sometimes it's good to delay your first rush by a little bit, look and see what other people are doing, because if your actual first rush is rushing the wrong way but someone else is rushing you, then you have to deal with them first. Alright, for the last tip, know when it's time to abandon ship. Sometimes your first rush is just better than you. They're 1,000 stars, 5 FKDR, and they're just destroying you. You know, even if you lose your first rush, technically, like you lose your bed, you can still win the game if you're able to gather resources and come back and fight that guy when you have a little bit more. Sometimes this looks like just running. Sometimes this looks like doing a bed trade. But anything to keep yourself alive and give you the chance of winning the game later. Alright, well that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something. I know it was kind of a speed run through the different tips. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.